Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another reaction to it's another reaction to the US, but it's a reaction to do with like how cities are built or how things are built different in the US compared to the UK or wherever, or Europe or whatever. And I know it's been mentioned before, and it's to do with, as the title says, why the US hates roundabouts, or why the US has a lot less roundabouts, if not any. And I remember seeing it before because I know the UK has many, like loads and loads of roundabouts. I just, when I was younger, I used to just think they were a thing that every road had. I didn't think there'd be differences and stuff, but obviously that's not the case. And I guess we're just going to learn about why that's the case. I guess it's through history. They opposed it and have different things in the road. I don't know what exactly they have. It's probably been mentioned before, but I'm not too sure off the top of my head. But I mean, yeah, it's a weird topic, not for everyone, but I'm interested. I do enjoy sort of how US cities are shaped, or like how sort of like, well, yeah, the cities are shaped because they're a lot different to the European sort of styles as well. They're a lot more modern or whatever because the cities are a lot more newer. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Just get into this. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. Quick shout out to my Instagram and my Twitter, links in the description for those interested. Same for my Patreon, links all there. But let's check this out. This is London, right? I think this is London.
Carmel, Indiana is home to an unusual record. The city of 97,000 people north of Indianapolis boasts over 125 modern roundabouts, more than any other U.S. city, and they're proud of it.
What the fuck?
This number accounts for 3% of the country's 4,000 total roundabouts. But
Wait, what?
country's 4,000 total roundabouts. And the country's 4,000
120 of the 4,000 in the US are in this small city. What?
total roundabouts.
Wait,
But
what?
compared to other countries, the U.S. is not holding any records. France has the most roundabouts with over 30,000
Goddamn.
constructed across the country. It is followed closely by the United Kingdom with 25,000 roundabouts. So how did one small Midwestern city become the roundabout capital of the U.S.? The reason can be credited to Mayor Jim Brainerd. During his graduate school trip to England, he observed the ease and safety of the country's numerous roundabouts. Drivers were yielding to traffic and to bikes and to pedestrians. No unsightly traffic signals and no long lines or congestion. It made me wonder why the U.S. had not built more roundabouts. When Brainerd was elected mayor of Carmel in 1996, he made it his mission to cover the city with roundabouts. But an ease in traffic congestion was not the only reason behind his campaign. In fact, the roundabout is the intersection of choice for many modernized countries because of its proven safety. Carmel, Indiana alone has seen a reduction in the number of injuries from car accidents.
So they actually are safer? Or they make things safer? Or is it just maybe because it's such a... I don't know actually, because it isn't a small scale. It's a lot of countries. And you can see in this little city. But what is the difference? What do you have in the US? Because I feel like there's a different thing instead of roundabouts that they have, or that you have in the US.
By
I
about
can't think off the top of my head.
80% since the 1990s.
So if roundabouts are increasing safety for drivers, why is America lagging behind?
I hate them. They're the worst things ever.
Just Americans like me hate it and don't think they're necessary. I think that it's taking a long time and I'm scared I'm gonna miss the exit I need, and so I end up going maybe 2 or 3 times more than I need to.
There are over 300,000 existing signalized intersections in the United
So the
States.
intersections.
According to the Federal Highway Administration, more than 50% of the combined total of fatal and injury crashes occur at or near these intersections.
Wow.
On average, over 10,000 people are killed each year in collisions at them. Yet, studies show that modern roundabouts reduce accidents by 38% and fatal crashes up to 90%.
What?
So why does the collision rate drastically drop? Well, the answer
See, what I'd think is because there's red lights and stuff, cars would just know when to go or not. But I guess it's when you realise how stupid the human race are. We'll just manage to make something that looks easier a lot harder. So I look at roundabouts, and even myself, I'm kind of like spooked out. Like, I'm like, wait, which side do I go? Like, I don't want to crash. Or like when to go and when not. I don't know, the pressures would be too much to me. But it is kind of weird how it is so much seemingly safer. But again, maybe there's other things that we're going to have to see to realise why.
lies in the construction. A roundabout is a small one-way circular intersection built around a raised center island. Drivers must yield to circulating traffic as they enter and exit at their desired street. Because drivers are forced to slow down upon entry, the collision rate drops. They are no longer racing to beat the red light. Even if an accident occurs, injuries are less likely due to the lower speeds. Take note though, this is the definition specifically for what is called the modern roundabout. This is because the modern roundabout is often confused with the similar intersections known as traffic circles or rotaries. Unlike modern roundabouts, traffic circles are much larger in shape. Drivers enter traffic circles in a straight line at faster speeds, and they're not required to yield to oncoming traffic.
There are some of these in the UK. I know there are as
In
well.
modern roundabouts, drivers navigate a gentle curve at a slower pace. Traffic circles often use stoplights or stop signs within the circular intersection.
This is Columbus Circle in New York City.
Built in 1905, it's considered to be the world's first traffic circle. Following its construction, large traffic circles began spreading around the United States.
But because their layout enabled high-speed merging and weaving, they caused more vehicle collisions and they quickly fell out of favor.
Big issue with these circles was safety. The fact that cars had to suddenly be stopped in the middle of it while everyone's coming in at speed, and that's scary.
That's Gordon Meth, a civil engineer.
And not all our cars perform as fast as others, then they would get congested. Those were the reasons why circles fell out of fashion, and a lot of government agencies went around trying to get rid of circles.
By the 1950s, development slowed to a halt worldwide.
Fast forward to 1966. A city engineer named Frank Blackmore of the United Kingdom wanted to rectify the problems caused by traffic circles. So, he developed what is now known as the modern roundabout. Blackmore established the
Wait, so roundabouts aren't even that old? I thought they were things from ages ago. I guess they wouldn't though, because obviously cars aren't an old thing. They're still quite a new invention, which I didn't even factor in that. So it does make sense. But I don't know. I would have thought they were like hundreds of years old. But that's just me being very stupid.
give way rule for his modern roundabouts, which required entering drivers to yield to circulating traffic. This created a much safer intersection than the original traffic circles. The idea quickly gained favor, and the modern roundabout began spreading throughout parts of Europe. The changes Blackmore made were successful, and over time, accident rates dropped drastically.
But the trend was not catching on in the United States. Engineers weren't convinced that the improvements Blackmore enacted were safer for drivers, and Americans still had a largely unpopular opinion about them.
So, American engineer Leif Arston set out to change that.
What? No.
In 1984, Arston reached out to Blackmore for help. In 1941, Sir Winston Churchill asked America to join Britain in a struggle to protect democracy. We join you, and together we triumphed. Now, 45 years later, I am calling upon you to help me with a difficult struggle in which we are both engaged. We are trying to bring the British-style roundabout to the Western Hemisphere. The fighting is tough, the slogging is slow, and the resistance is stiff. In the spirit of Anglo-American cooperation, will you join us and lend a hand? Blackmore quickly agreed to a meeting with Arston and traveled to the United States. Together, the two set out around the state of California, persuading traffic heads to begin building modern roundabouts. However, the public was not convinced.
Oh wow.
Surveys showed only 20% of drivers approved of their construction. Even if project proposals for roundabouts were approved, the two men were often met with protest, and the plans were quickly shut down. Finally, in 1990, Arston and Blackmore's hard work paid off, and the first two modern roundabouts were successfully constructed in a Las Vegas subdivision.
Wow.
The feat caught the attention of city planners. Other communities followed in their footsteps, and roundabouts slowly.
One thing I don't understand about roundabouts in general is, why is there trees in the middle? Surely you'd prefer to be able to see across, to see the cars and stuff. It just seems like a bit of an inconvenience to me. And this is with roundabouts in England, like mainly as well. Like there's like nice, like it's nice that they look nice as plants and stuff, as flowers. But why can't it just be low? It makes so much more sense to have it so you can sort of see across from you and just make sure everything's good, etc. But maybe it isn't that important. I don't really know.
Cities followed in their footsteps, and roundabouts slowly began popping up around the U.S.
Although construction started later in the U.S., The timeline of events is not an exclusive explanation for the lack of roundabouts. In fact, there are a few theories that could account for the answer.
First, the American detestation for roundabouts could derive
This is
from what is
insane
called
now.
the availability.
Look at this one, bro. This is like I don't know, this looks like really futuristic. Like, you got the road underneath, and then you got this crazy ass roundabout, which is like so perfect in a sense. This one's pretty cool, but say you crash and then you fall into this one, you're done, man.
Availability heuristic. This term
That's cool,
describes the way people form an opinion on something based on the immediate thoughts or memories that are associated with it. The scene of Clark Griswold getting trapped while driving in a traffic circle and European Vacation may come to mind.
It's amazing. I cannot get left. There's Big Ben, kids, Parliament.
Or perhaps the time Homer Simpson drives hopelessly around the Lambeth Bridge roundabout before swerving out in a desperate attempt to escape the never-ending nightmare.
Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning.
I see an opening.
No, it's
Only to crash into the Queen of England herself.
That's it. I'm acting the way America acts best. Unilaterally.
When thinking about modern roundabouts, many Americans tend to envision traffic circles. This is an easy misconception because the two appear similar at first glance. Ever since the fallout of the original traffic circle that enabled high collision rates in the early 1900s, Americans were left with a bad taste in their mouths. So, the assumption that modern roundabouts will be just as dangerous is formed. Plus, American drivers might simply just be used to traffic lights.
We're just used to intersections and traffic signals historically. I've found that the public sometimes don't like four-way stops where everyone has to stop and yield. They just don't like them because they just get, if there's a lot of traffic, they get
Look how
kind of
big the
confused.
roads are, though. Oh, man. 4 on this side. Oh, mate. What the fuck? Is this in the US? This doesn't look like... This looks like... This isn't like the US. No, it's China, isn't it?
I think
There
we
we
get
go.
the same effect at a roundabout. You know, the uncertainty level gets to people. There's something comforting, I think, to the red, yellow, green that tells you it's time to go or not go.
They are comfortable with a binary system that controls their actions and makes decisions for them. Red light stop, green light go. Simple enough, right?
Yeah, that's what
In a
I'm thinking.
sense, drivers care more about the illusion of safety created by a stoplight.
That's what I'm saying. It is. It looks like it should be safer because you've sort of got the technology doing it, but then you've got the humans who make it end up being less safe, which just defines our species. That's what I was trying to say at the start. It is like a safer thing in general. It looks like it'd be safer because you're going off what it says. But obviously, yeah, like I say, it's not. It doesn't happen like that.
But when they are forced to rely on their own driving abilities, along with the actions of others, it causes a confusing and distressing experience. Another theory could be that Americans just don't know how to use a roundabout.
I don't even.
There are certain parts of the country where they're starting to gain favor, but the reality is that people aren't used to it. You come up to this intersection, this circle, and it tells you to yield, but you're not totally sure how to use it, and you're not used to the concept of going around in a circle to find your exit. So it's a matter of just people getting comfortable with it and used to it. And that comes with critical mass. The more of them there are, the better. So I think that's what the main reluctance is.
Many states don't even require teenagers to navigate one during the road skills driver's exam to obtain their
Wow.
licenses. Even in the turn section on the Virginia State Driver's Evaluation, the roundabout portion reads only, if available. American drivers end up learning how to drive through a roundabout during their first real-world encounter with them. This can
What?
cause a stressful experience due to the lack of familiarity. Therefore,
That's
the
kinda
disdain
wild.
for the experience is established. Lastly, it comes down to awareness. Many Americans don't know how beneficial roundabouts are.
Not only do roundabouts reduce vehicle collisions by 38%, they are also cheaper to construct, reduce congestion, and are better for the environment.
Roundabouts save
really?
about $5,000 to $10,000 per year due to the reduced maintenance and electrical cost. They also
Guess, yeah, the
improve traffic
electricity
flow.
and the-
Cars do not have to stop and wait for the light to
lights.
change. One study of 3 locations in New Hampshire, New York, and Washington found an 89% average reduction in vehicle delays and a 56% average reduction in vehicle stops in areas where roundabouts replace intersections. Another study in Kansas across 11 intersections found similar results, with a 65% reduction in delays and a 52% decrease in traffic stops. Because of the reduction in traffic delays and stops, roundabouts have a relatively non-existent carbon footprint. One study in Sweden found an average reduction in carbon emissions by 29% and a reduction in fuel consumption by 28%.
Fortunately, it is proven that more and more Americans are coming around to accepting and using roundabouts.
Studies show that once drivers learn how to use them, their attitude toward...
Bro, these are the most typical British roundabouts you could ever think of. They're not very pretty, but this is kind of what I'm saying. You kind of can see across, and you've got the trees in the middle. But I guess they do just look a lot nicer. But if you've been to the UK, you know what I mean. These are just the typical roundabouts you'd have. In cities, you tend to have a bit like bigger ones. But I mean, I'm on about more like in the country and like near towns and stuff. You'll definitely see one of these ones.
Roundabouts drastically changes. Community surveys where roundabouts were built shows that only 30% of people approved of them before construction, but approval increased to about 50 to 70% after they were built. So, while modern roundabouts may not be widely popular in the US, Americans are slowly coming back around to the idea of them.
And there we go. Interesting video, honestly, because again, I know this has been mentioned in videos before in comments a couple times, but I've never actually understood why. This has taught me that, and I mean, yeah, fun little video. If you want more reactions from this channel or just similar random topics like this, let me know what you want to see, but let's just see some of the comments. People actually protested against roundabouts in the US. Incredible. Drivers must yield, and therein lies the problem in the US. I'm scared I missed the right exit. Okay, that can happen if you're distracted for a moment, but how stupid or unattentive do you have to be to miss 2 or even 3 times? Bro, that's me. This has to be another example of living in a bubble brought to you by the land of freedom. Rename the freedom circles and America will go crazy. For fuck's sake. I like that guy because I can see my people in the comments even like just seeing that. It reminds me when seatbelts became mandatory, people didn't like them either. They thought they would strangle them and trap them in a car if you had an accident. No matter. Wait, really? Bro, that is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Seatbelts were once seen as a thing that could be dangerous. I'm scared I'm going to miss the exit. How can this be? That's me, man. I'm getting called stupid in the comments. You hate to see it. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. More stuff like this, let me know what you want to see. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe.